If I hadn't stopped to tie my shoe on the front step, I might not have seen it. The notice was taped at eye level, the kind of paper you walk past because you assume it belongs to someone else's bad day. But I bent down, retied my lace, stood up, and there it was. Notice of lease violation. Unauthorized occupant. My name was typed halfway down. Unauthorized occupant. Possibly Marisol Delgado, adult female, observed at property. Possibly? There are words that make you feel temporary. Guest is one. Occupant is another. Possibly made me sound like a clerical error. The notice was from Oak Ridge Properties. I had never heard of Oak Ridge Properties. 3 boxes were checked. Unauthorized occupant, unauthorized subletting, failure to provide updated tenant information. At the bottom, tenant of record must contact office within 5 business days to cure violation, or notice to quit may issue. Tenant of record? Daniel Delgado. My brother. Not owner. Not homeowner. Tenant. I stood on the porch of the little yellow bungalow on Ledbetter Avenue, one shoelace dragging, my lunch bag in my hand. The rosemary bush I had planted by the walk brushed my ankle. My mother used to rub rosemary between her fingers when she was thinking. I planted it because Daniel had told me 3 years earlier, "This is yours too, Mari. Make it feel like yours." I took a photo before I touched the notice. I'm not a lawyer. I work in billing for a physical therapy clinic, which mostly means explaining deductibles to people who want to fight Blue Cross in the parking lot. But something in me said, do not remove the only thing telling the truth. Then I peeled it off carefully, blue painter's tape and all, carried it inside, and laid it flat on the kitchen table. The house looked normal. My mug in the sink, the blue quilt my aunt made after Mom died folded over the couch, Daniel's old work boots by the back door, because he still came on Sundays to mow, fix things, and remind me to change the air filter. I looked at my key. It hung on a brass ring with my library card, a useless gym fob, and a tiny enamel strawberry my niece had bought me at a craft fair. The key was silver and worn at the teeth. Do not duplicate. Property of Oak Ridge Properties. I remembered asking about that stamp the day Daniel gave it to me. Left over from the previous owner, he'd said in the empty kitchen. They probably rented it out before selling. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it had always been one of Daniel's gifts, and one of my bad habits. At the time, I was 34, newly out of a humiliating relationship, sleeping on a friend's daybed, keeping most of my clothes in my car. Daniel called and said he had found a place. He had worked something out. The house needed care. He'd be traveling more, and if I could pay $900 a month, he'd put it toward the mortgage. Family equity, he called it. Not formal yet, he said, but I'm not going to let you get priced out of your own life. For 3 years, on the first of every month, I sent Daniel $900 through Venmo. The memo line changed because I get bored easily. Mortgage contribution, Ledbetter mortgage, house share, roof over my head, and once, after 2 glasses of wine, capitalism tax. He always clicked the little heart. Sometimes he wrote, "Got it, proud of you." I called him. It went to voicemail. I did not text the photo with 17 question marks. I did not drive to his apartment. I did not call Aunt Carmen or Daniel's girlfriend, Elena, to help me be messy. I made coffee I didn't drink, opened my laptop, and searched Oak Ridge Properties Ledbetter Avenue. Their office was 12 minutes away, in a low brick building between a dentist and a vacuum repair shop. Before I left, I gathered my driver's license, with 214 Ledbetter as the address, my electricity bill, screenshots of recent Venmo payments, then downloaded my entire Venmo history with Daniel. 36 payments. $900 each. $32,400. For one foolish second, my brain tried to make it smaller. Surely there was a column called, "He is your brother." There wasn't. Oak Ridge's lobby smelled like copier toner and artificial vanilla. A woman named Diane took the notice and my ID, disappeared, and returned with Paula, the assistant property manager. "Ms. Delgado," Paula said, You are not listed on the lease. Is the house owned by Daniel Delgado? I asked. No, Oak Ridge manages it for the owner. Your brother is the sole tenant of record. So there's no mortgage? Paula and Diane exchanged a tired look. Not amusement, the look of women who had watched family paperwork go bad. We can't speak to his personal finances, Paula said, but this property is under a residential lease. Because my name was on the violation notice, Paula provided redacted lease terms. Daniel had signed a 12-month lease 3 years earlier at $1,450 a month and renewed twice. Only named tenants could live there more than 14 consecutive days. Subletting required written consent. Additional occupants required written approval. There was no clause for sisters, no grief exception, no pantry crying addendum. Your brother told us last year you only stayed occasionally, Paula said. My face went hot. I have mail there, utilities, plants. I believe you, she said. That doesn't make it authorized. What happens now? He can request to add you if the owner approves, or he can cure the violation by having unauthorized occupants vacate. Given what you're describing, I'd put everything in writing. I almost laughed. Put everything in writing is what people say after the part that should have been in writing has already ruined your life. In my car, I texted Daniel. Call me when you can. It's about the house. 11 minutes later. In meetings. Everything okay? There was a notice from Oak Ridge on the door. The typing bubble appeared, vanished, appeared again. I'll handle it. That was all. The old reflex rose like a trained dog. Let him handle it. Daniel handled funeral homes and insurance forms after our parents died. After Mom's funeral, when I was 27 and he was 31, he drove me home and said, "You don't have to be strong with me. I've got us." I had built a whole religion on that sentence. I put my phone face down. Then I made a folder on my laptop called Ledbetter House. Inside it, notice, lease, payments, communications. Restrained humor is labeling your personal disaster like an office audit, because otherwise you will lie down on the kitchen floor. By noon, I had printed every Venmo transaction, downloaded bank statements showing the debits, and searched years of texts for mortgage, equity, co-own, house, and Ledbetter. Daniel had been careful, or casual in a way that worked like careful. Still, I found enough. From the first week, 900 works. I'll put it toward mortgage and repairs. Keep Venmo memo simple. 6 months later, when I asked if I should be on paperwork, we'll do it when refi settles. No point paying a lawyer twice. A year after that, when I asked if I could replace the bathroom faucet myself, your house too. Pick one you like. Each receipt changed something. The notice told me I wasn't recognized. The lease told me Daniel didn't own it. The payment history told me the size of the lie. The texts told me he knew what I thought I was paying for. Daniel called at 2:17. What happened? He said too fast. That's what I'm asking you. He sighed. It's a paperwork thing. They changed property managers and got confused. They say you're the tenant. I am, on paper, yeah. On paper? Mari, don't do this while I'm at work. Do what? That is not what equity means. I gave you a place when you needed one, and I paid you $32,000. You paid less than market. There is no market where rent becomes a mortgage because your brother says it nicely. He breathed into the phone. I could hear traffic. Don't talk to Oak Ridge anymore, he said. I'll add you to whatever they need. Are you allowed to? I'll handle it. You keep saying that like it's a legal document. He snapped. What do you want me to say? That I messed up? Fine, I messed up. No, I said. That's too small a sentence. He hung up. That evening, Elena texted. Hey, Daniel came home upset. Are you okay? Elena had been with Daniel 6 years. She was a pediatric respiratory therapist with a quiet voice and violent opinions about unwashed humidifiers. I liked her. I trusted her taste in Daniel. That mattered now. I typed, "Did you know he didn't own this house?" She didn't answer for almost an hour. "I knew it was rented. I didn't know what he told you at first." At first. I called her. She answered with, "I'm sorry." Those 2 words did more damage than Daniel's call because they confirmed there was something to be sorry for. "How long did you know?" "I knew last year that you thought there was a mortgage. You said something at his birthday dinner about rates. I asked him after." The house seemed to reorder itself around me. Daniel had not gambled it away or bought something shiny. He had made me the invisible payer in someone else's emergency. He used my housing to pay your debt? I don't think he paid it directly. He was saving. He said if he got enough together, he could negotiate lump sums. I told him not to take money from you. He said you were paying below market, that you needed the house, that everybody was surviving. Everybody was surviving. The kind of sentence people use when they have already chosen who gets lied to. "I need proof," I said. "Mari, if you go after him, I forced my voice down. He took 3 years of payments under false pretenses. He let me believe I had a stake in this place. He let me plant tomatoes in a rental I could be forced out of because he didn't want to admit he was drowning." "I know." "Then stand where the truth is," I said, and hung up. The next morning, I emailed Daniel. "Daniel, I have obtained the lease terms from Oak Ridge and my payment history, showing $32,400 paid to you between June 2021 and May 2024, identified repeatedly as mortgage contribution/house mortgage/related language. I am requesting a written explanation of the arrangement you represented to me, including what legal interest, if any, you claim I have in 214 Ledbetter Avenue, and where my payments were applied. Do not contact Oak Ridge on my behalf or use my name in any communication without my written permission. Marisol." He replied 9 minutes later. "You're making this adversarial. I was trying to help you. We can talk like family." I saved it as a PDF. That evening, while stress cleaning the refrigerator, I got a text from Elena. It was a photograph of a laptop screen showing part of a bank statement. The account type read High Yield Savings. The name at the top, Daniel M. Delgado. The transaction list showed monthly deposits of $900, clustered within a day or two of my Venmo payments. The visible balance was $27,846.13. Under it, Elena wrote, "He didn't mean for this to go this long." I sat on the kitchen floor between the open refrigerator and a trash bag full of old mustard. That receipt changed the shape again. Daniel could have claimed the payments were rent. Ugly, dishonest rent, but rent. He could have said mortgage was family shorthand. The savings statement showed a pattern. My so-called mortgage payments had become his emergency fund. Daniel called at 10:38 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. "Mari, you need to stop dragging Elena into this. She's sick, she's stressed, and she doesn't understand the details. That account was for you too, okay? It was gonna be for the house. I was gonna make it right. You always assume the worst when you're scared, but you're gonna blow up the family over paperwork." I saved the voicemail. On Sunday, Daniel came by at 8 in the morning because he still had a key. I had put the chain on the night before, which felt paranoid, until I heard it catch. "Mari," he said through the gap. He looked terrible, unshaven, red-eyed, wearing the gray hoodie he wore when we cleaned out Dad's garage. "Open the door." "No. I'm trying to fix this. I talked to Oak Ridge. I told you not to use my name. I had to. They needed to know you're my sister." "Did you tell them I've lived here 3 years?" He rubbed his forehead. "I told them we want to extend the lease and add you." "We?" "That's the simplest way." No, the simplest way is telling the truth. His eyes hardened. The truth is, I helped you when nobody else could. That is one truth. It is not the only one. You paid $900 to live in a whole house. Do you know what one bedrooms go for now? I paid $900 because you told me it was going toward a mortgage and equity. I was going to put your name on something eventually. On what? A rental application? He flinched. Seeing him flinch didn't satisfy me. It made me remember him at 19, carrying me piggyback from the bus stop because I twisted my ankle showing off. Betrayal does not erase the good. It makes you carry both. Elena could lose everything, he said. So you chose me? I chose the only option that didn't hurt anyone right away. It hurt me every month. I just didn't know it yet. I can give you some back, he said. Not all, some. But if you make this official, I could lose my job. Elena could lose her apartment. We could all... There it is. What? The part where the consequences of your choices become my responsibility again. He gripped the doorframe. Please don't do this. I wanted one clean sentence. I lied to you. I took your money. I am sorry. Not because it would fix everything, but because I wanted to know the brother who taught me to ride a bike still lived somewhere under the justifications. He didn't say it. So I closed the door. On Monday, I filed a police report for identity fraud and theft by deception. The officer at the desk was polite and careful not to promise anything. I brought copies: notice, lease terms, payment spreadsheet, texts, voicemail transcript, Elena's screenshot printed with her message showing she sent it voluntarily. Family financial disputes can get complicated, he said. I know. That's why I brought the uncomplicated parts. The report number did not prove Daniel guilty, but it gave me a formal record. It gave Oak Ridge a reason to release communications involving my name. It gave the state fraud unit something to attach to. I emailed Paula the report number and a signed request authorizing Oak Ridge to release any communications where Daniel used my name or represented my consent. 2 days later, Paula called. Our counsel reviewed your request, she said. We can forward one email chain that directly includes your name and an electronic signature purporting to be yours. I sat down. Purporting? I think you need to see it. Daniel had written Oak Ridge the day after our first confrontation. Subject: lease extension / add occupant. Hi, Paula. Per our conversation, I'd like to extend it 214 Ledbetter for another 12 months for my sister and me. She has been helping with the house and will be staying. Attached is the occupant addendum with her signature. Thanks, Daniel. The attachment was a one-page form. My name was typed, Marisol Delgado. At the bottom was an electronic signature in a cursive font I would never use because it made my name look like a cruise ship. The email listed for me was marisoldelgado214@gmail.com. I did not own that email address. The earlier receipts showed the lie. This one showed continuation. Daniel had not failed to correct the scheme. He had tried to paper over it using my name after I explicitly told him not to. That changed my available action. I forwarded the chain to the officer, then filed a complaint with the state real estate fraud unit. The online form timed out twice because apparently Justice also has bad software, but I got it done. I attached the notice, lease terms, payments, texts, Elena's screenshot, the voicemail, and the forged addendum. I wrote the facts in short paragraphs with dates. No adjectives. No, my heart broke. Just the latter. When I clicked submit, I expected triumph. What I felt was nausea. Revenge sounds clean when it's theoretical. In real life, it involves scanning receipts at midnight and wondering whether your dead mother would be ashamed of you for reporting your brother or ashamed of him for making it necessary. Aunt Carmen called the next day. "What is going on with you and Danny?" she asked. No hello. "What did he tell you?" "He said you're threatening him over rent." "Did he use the word rent?" Silence. "Auntie."
He said there was confusion. 3 years of confusion? She sighed. Marisol, you know he has always tried to take care of everyone. I know. That's part of the problem. He decided taking care of Elena meant lying to me. Elena is sick. Elena also sent me proof, and he forged my signature. Oh, mija. Not anger, not disbelief. Grief arriving at the correct address. I'm not doing this because I hate him, I said, my voice cracking for the first time in days. I'm doing it because if I don't, the lesson is that he can make me smaller and call it help.
Aunt Carmen asked me to send what I could. After I sent the forged addendum and notice, she did not call back to argue. Later, I learned she called Daniel and told him, "Your sister is not the family problem right now." That was her choice. It cost her too. Daniel stopped answering her calls for a while. The fraud unit contacted me 8 days after I filed. An investigator named Mr. Harlan asked for originals where possible and a written statement. He also asked whether I was seeking criminal charges, restitution, or both. I want restitution, I said, and I want him to stop using my name. Those are not mutually exclusive. I know, I just don't want prison. The charging decision is not entirely yours, he said, but cooperation and restitution can matter. Given the amount and the forged document, he needs counsel. Hearing that made me feel safer and cruel at the same time. Daniel must have received a call or letter soon after, because he showed up again. This time he knocked instead of trying his key. I opened the door with the chain on. "You filed with the state?" he asked. "Yes." "Jesus, Mari. You forged my signature. I was trying to keep you in the house." "You were trying to keep the lie alive." His mouth opened, then closed. Then he finally said it. "I lied to you." I held the doorframe because the sentence landed harder than I expected. "I know," I said. I told myself it was temporary. At first, I thought I'd save enough to pay off some of Elena's collections and then figure out something real for you. Maybe buy a place later. I don't know. He wiped his face. Then the rent went up, her bills kept coming, you were doing better, and I just kept moving the line. You let me believe I was safe. He looked at me without defending himself. I know. That was the apology I had wanted days earlier. By then, it was not enough to be the solution. It was only a fact. "What happens now?" he asked. "You sign a promissory note. For $32,000? For $28,000. I had not invented the number out of anger. A tenant rights clinic attorney named Asha told me not to inflate, not to include emotional damages in a demand letter, unless I wanted everyone dramatic, and not to pretend I had received no housing value. "You did live there," she said. "He lied about what the payments were for, but a court may consider reasonable rental value. If your goal is enforceable restitution, pick a number tied to the deposits you can trace." The visible savings balance was just under $28,000, so I asked for $28,000, notarized, with a payment schedule and default terms. A civil attorney charged me $450 to draft it properly. I paid from my emergency fund and resented every penny like it had insulted me personally. Daniel stared through the gap. "I don't have 28 cash." "You have close." "Elena." "No, do not put her between us again." He swallowed. "If I sign, will you drop the complaint?" "I will tell the investigator you signed a restitution agreement and that I'm not seeking incarceration. I will not lie. I will not withdraw facts." "You sound like a lawyer." "I sound like a billing coordinator who learned from insurance companies that if it isn't documented, it didn't happen." Despite everything, his mouth twitched. Mine did too. The tiniest, saddest family reflex. Then it was gone. "What about the house?" he asked. "I'm applying for my own lease with Oak Ridge. You terminate yours or sign whatever they require. You don't get keys." He nodded. "Okay." "Okay?"
I'm tired, he said. I almost softened. Then I remembered the notice on the door. My name as possibly. The fake signature pretending to be me in loops. Being tired is not restitution, I said. The signing happened at a UPS store on a Wednesday afternoon because nothing says family reckoning like a notary stand between passport photos and padded envelopes. Daniel came with an attorney. I came with Asha on speakerphone, and a folder so organized it looked like I was applying for a grant.
The note stated Daniel acknowledged receiving funds from me under misrepresented housing terms and agreed to repay $28,000, $10,000 within 10 business days, then $750 a month until satisfied, with interest and civil enforcement if he missed payments. He also signed a statement that he had no ownership interest in 214 Ledbetter Avenue and would not represent otherwise. His attorney tried to soften that sentence. "No," I said. Everyone looked at me. "No," I repeated. "That sentence stays." Daniel didn't fight it. He signed, I signed, the notary stamped. The sound was small and official. Oak Ridge approved my application 2 weeks later. It helped that I had steady income, utilities in my name, and 3 years of documented occupancy without complaints, except, ironically, being undocumented. The owner agreed to a new lease at $1,650 a month, which made me wince so hard, Paula said, "I know," before I spoke. It was legal. It was real. It was more than I had been paying, and somehow less expensive than the lie. Diane handed me 2 new keys in a small envelope. "These are yours under the lease," she said. "No mystery stamps." The keys were plain brass. I almost cried in the lobby, but Diane pretended to rearrange paperwork until I got myself together. Daniel's first $10,000 payment arrived by cashier's check on the 9th business day. I photographed it, deposited it, and sent confirmation to Mr. Harlan. The case stayed open pending compliance and review. There were no dramatic arrests, no public shaming, no scene where everyone clapped. Just a manila folder getting thicker and a bank balance becoming a little less ruined. Family gatherings changed. At my niece's birthday party, Daniel and I stood on opposite sides of the yard while a 7-year-old attacked a unicorn piñata with the moral clarity of someone who knew exactly where the candy was. Aunt Carmen hugged me longer than usual. Elena came late, thinner than before, carrying a gift bag. We ended up by the cooler. "I'm staying with my sister for a while," she said. I heard. "He's in therapy," she added, then made a face. "I know that sounds like something people say when they want credit for not fixing anything. It's still good." She nodded. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was scared if I pulled one thread, everything would come apart." It did. I know. A child screamed happily behind us. The piñata had lost a leg. "I sent the statement because you said you were facing eviction," Elena said. "Before that, I kept telling myself it was between you two. Like if I didn't touch it, I wasn't part of it." That's how these things survive. I did not forgive her fully that day, but I respected that she had chosen the truth when it cost her. That mattered more than a perfect apology delivered too late. Daniel and I did not have a big reconciliation. People love stories where the guilty person changes enough to make the injured person's pain feel productive. Real life is stingier. He made the first 3 monthly payments. The 4th was 2 days late, with an email about payroll changes. I replied with a copy of the default clause and no exclamation points. The payment arrived the next morning. Every so often, he texted something ordinary, the name of a plumber, a photo of Dad's old socket set. Once, "I know I don't get to ask, but are you okay?" I stared at that one for a long time. Finally, I wrote, "Some days." It was the most honest answer I had. Justice did not give me back the version of Daniel who could make a house feel safe by handing me a key. It did not give me back 3 years of saying "our place" at work, or the afternoon I painted the bedroom pale green because I thought permanence could be chosen from a swatch card. It did not give me back the feeling of being protected without needing proof. But it gave me a lease with my name on it. It gave me a repayment schedule. It gave me the ability to say, in writing and out loud, that what happened had happened. That is not nothing. On the first day of my new lease, I changed small things. I moved the couch 6 inches left because I had always wanted to, and Daniel once said it blocked the vent. I replaced the woody rosemary bush with a new one from the nursery. I bought a ridiculous ceramic bowl shaped like a lemon and put it by the door for my keys. Then I sat at the kitchen table and took apart my key ring. The old silver key resisted, caught where the ring had bent. I worked it loose with a butter knife. Up close, the stamp was still clear. Do not duplicate. Property of Oak Ridge Properties. For 3 years, the truth had been in my hand every time I came home. Not the whole truth, but a piece of it. A detail that didn't fit. A warning I let my brother explain away because I needed him to be right. I did not throw the key away. I put it in a white envelope with the original notice, the blue painter's tape still clinging to 2 corners. On the front, I wrote, Ledbetter, old key/notice. Then I took out the banker's box where I kept tax returns, car repair receipts, and other boring evidence that I exist. I made a new folder and labeled it Closed. The envelope went inside, along with copies of the signed promissory note and the lease that finally had my name on it. On the bookshelf in the living room, the photo from Mom's funeral still sat in its dark wooden frame. Daniel and me on the church steps, leaning into each other, both too young to understand how long grief can echo. For a moment, I almost put it back where it had always been, centered between 2 candles. Instead, I opened the cabinet below the shelf and placed it inside, upright, not hidden under anything. Still there, still part of the record, just no longer on display. The new brass key went into the lemon bowl by the door. When I left for work the next morning, I locked the house behind me and checked the handle twice. Not because I doubted the lock, but because I liked the sound it made. Solid. Ordinary. Mine.